Hey everyone, Tankenstein here. In this video, I'll be reviewing the Sea Hawk Mk.100 pack, which contains the premium Sea Hawk Mk.100 at 8.0 BR for Germany, 2,000 Golden Eagles, and 15 days of premium time. I'll go over everything having to do with this plane, including its stats, weapons, rolls, strengths, and weaknesses, and then I'll give you my final recommendation on if I believe it is a worthy purchase or not. Also, I will have a much longer gameplay video linked below in the description if you'd like to see more gameplay on this bird than what is currently in the video. As always, please subscribe if you'd like more content and join the Discord. That all said, let's get into it. So to start, let's go over its stats. It features an 8.0 BR, a 933 km/h top speed, a 26-second turn time, a 32 meter per second rate of climb, although this will almost always be 28.9 meters per second, assuming that you always use the AIM-9B missiles as your secondary armament, and it also has a total of 10 different loadout options, ranging from the 2 AIM-9Bs, or 500 or 1,000 pound bombs, and also a host of different rocket types. So let's get into its roles and how it plays. So the Sea Hawk Mk.100 has two distinct roles, but unfortunately, and for reasons that I will soon delve into, it really doesn't do either of them all too spectacularly. The first of these roles will be as a fighter, and this is fairly straightforward as you have your 4 cannons and 2 AIM-9B missiles. These missiles will be a fixture on your plane if you play ARB. In the fighter role, this plane does decently. It turns decently, has a somewhat low top speed, has access to air-to-air missiles at a low BR, has mediocre cannons and ammo capacity, and it also features a somewhat poor rate of climb. Though you can certainly destroy other planes, you will almost certainly find yourself constantly facing planes with higher speeds, better agility, and a higher rate of climb than you, all of which are required features of a good fighter at this BR. In the Mk.100, you will not have the specifications to be better than any pure fighter that you will face, regardless of if you're in an up tier or a down tier. This isn't to say that you can't do well, but you will certainly need to rely on positioning more than any other plane in your match in order to get kills. You will likely not be able to catch up to any plane that you're trying to chase, so you will need to stay high in the sky until your first dogfight, at which point you can swoop down and hopefully get a kill or two. Additionally, you have a secret weapon that almost no one else has at this BR, the AIM-9B, and it can catch many people by surprise. Being that guided air-to-air missiles are a rarity at this BR, people may either not expect them and thus not dodge them, or might not have the ability to dodge them, such as if you're going after a bomber or even a damaged plane. Certainly no planes at this BR have flares to act as countermeasures, so long as you fire on them within about 1.75 kilometers away and at an enemy that you feel like will be flying straight, this is an easy way to get 1 or even 2 kills in a match with the Mk.100, even despite the poor tracking and turning abilities of the AIM-9B. It can easily catch people by surprise, which will end in getting easy kills without wasting your precious cannon ammo. Now, the other major role for this plane is close air support. In this role, you have your choice of 500 pound bombs, 1,000 pound bombs, and either HE or AP rockets. The AP rockets don't have any explosive filler, so you need to be spot on when firing them. They also only have around 100 meters of armor pen at max, but that's at 10 meters away and 0 degrees. More likely, let's say at 30 degrees and 500 meters, you will only have 77 meters of armor pen at max, and that drops pretty substantially when the angle increases. In the close air support, being that this plane is a bit slow, it can be difficult to actually get a hit off before being shot down, regardless of if you're using rockets or bombs. Due to the nature of the rockets, I would advise using bombs more often unless you're a sure shot with the rockets. This is just because the loadout of 4 500 pound bombs or 2 1,000 pound bombs is pretty standard and will typically get at least 1 or 2 kills, assuming you can bomb properly. Basically, in the close air support role, the Mk.100 flies almost like any American or British fighter jet around this BR. It's just decent in this role, being that you're going to have to face more advanced SPAA, which will likely shoot you down, which would explain why I only have training grounds footage in this video, or this part of the video, as I had been shot down numerous times while unsuccessfully trying to get in-match close air support footage. Either way, the best way to sum out the close air support capabilities of this plane is to say that it's just decent. It isn't bad, but it's not spectacular. And I'll go over that just a little bit more in just a moment. And now for the strengths and weaknesses. So for its strengths, it has very early access to AIM-9B air-to-air missiles, Though they have poor tracking capabilities, they can easily finish off an already injured player or a bomber, or destroy a careless enemy at a fairly close range. It also has a surprisingly good roll rate, and can also act as close air support in a pinch, let's say if you don't have any other planes in the German tech tree, but by itself it's not all too bad. It's also very versatile, but has a larger suite of anti-ground weapons than it does with anti-air. The airframe is also very sturdy on the Mark 100 and will absorb not only loads of hits and still fly, but can handle extreme maneuvers better than most similar BR planes without destroying the wings. Also, the plane itself is very agreeable and, in this regard, pretty easy to fly. It won't throw many curveballs, but its beginner friendliness in combat is another story. It also has air brakes, and finally it has premium Silverline and RP bonuses, being that this is, of course, a premium plane. Now for its weaknesses, while versatile, the Sea Hawk doesn't really do anything all that well. This plane can carry a small bomb load, only 2 missiles, albeit at a favorable 8.0 BR, or rockets. Basically, your main weapon will be your cannons, and they run out of ammo very quickly, despite having a relatively low rate of fire for their BR. It's also fairly slow both in terms of speed and acceleration, though I will say its takeoff acceleration is somewhat decent. This said, it is still slower than every higher BR premium plane, including the English Meteor Reaper, which was introduced into service a full decade earlier, albeit with the base variant of course. The Sea Hawk also has a fairly mediocre turning capability, at least when compared to similar BR fighters. It can also only choose between a purely missile loadout or anti-ground loadout with no missiles. Also, as mentioned before, the cannons for the Sea Hawk have a mediocre rate of fire for their BR, which may result in faster enemies passing right through your stream of fire unscathed. It has a 750 round per minute rate of fire, which is equal to the German Mk.100 from World War II, but I personally would much rather have 4 Mk.100s in this plane than the Hispano Mark V cannons that it comes equipped with. And finally, though it is easy to fly, getting the most out of the Sea Hawk Mark 100 is more of a chore than anything else, and can be difficult for beginners. You really need to know your plane's strengths and weaknesses, as it will oftentimes have to overcome enemies that have substantially superior specifications when compared to you. And now for the moment that you've all been waiting for, my final recommendation. Though this plane, like others, is very much capable in the right hands, it can also be extremely difficult to use, especially for beginners. It is almost confused as to what its role is, though most of the time you will be using it as a fighter, albeit a slow, somewhat clumsy fighter compared to similar BR planes like the Mk-15, F-89, and more. It does have a tinge of close air support capability and can be used with some effectiveness in this role, especially if you don't have a developed German air tech tree, but I would personally use other German aircraft in this role if given the chance, such as the infamous premium G91R4 or the Me-262A1U4 with the 50mm tank busting cannon, and personally I would use that Me-262A1U4 even up through higher BRs when compared to the Sea Hawk. Though this is certainly a tempting plane to purchase, and again is something that can be quite excellent in the right hands, it can be difficult to justify the $50 USD price. While it does come with 15 days of premium time and 2000 GE, other similarly priced premium planes fill the fighter role more competently, namely the F-86-35 Skyblazer and the F-86-40 for Japan, the latter of which also has missiles but currently sits at 1.3 BR higher than the Sea Hawk, though I can see this changing somewhat slightly in the future. Both of these premium sabers also come with GE and premium time. The only real benefit to having the Sea Hawk over these planes is the fact that the Sea Hawk has more secondary weapon options, which would lend to better close air support capabilities, although it still isn't amazing, being that, for example, the AP rockets have 0 explosive filler in them and is basically like firing rocket-powered lawn darts at tanks. This said, it's a decent jack-of-all-trades sort of plane, but it definitely is not a master of anything. The aforementioned F-86-35 is just 0.3 BR higher than the Sea Hawk Mark 100 and can fly 200 km per hour faster, all while having more ammo, ground attack capabilities, a better rate of climb, and, well, is just an overall better plane outside of the fact that it, unlike the Sea Hawk Mark 100, cannot carry missiles of any kind. Additionally, other top-tier air tech trees such as the US and USSR are more filled out than what Germany has and would benefit from the RP boost much more than Germany would. Heck, even the Saab 105 OE is an excellent alternative to the Sea Hawk, and one that I personally would highly recommend. So with all that trash talk out of the way, time for my final verdict. Though it might appear that I thoroughly dislike this plane, that's just not true. It has the ability to do quite well, especially against lesser opponents, but there are better alternatives out there if you're simply looking to purchase a premium plane, regardless of the nation that plane sits in. Again, the American F-86-35 is almost always going to be a better fighter, and if you don't mind having a slightly higher BR, the aforementioned G91R4 is both competent in the fighter and close air support role, more so than the Sea Hawk Mk.100 could ever be, regardless of the BR. This said, I would not discourage you from purchasing the Sea Hawk Mk.100, but would advise you to be cautious and to understand the other planes that you can purchase for the same or a similar amount of money. If the Sea Hawk is on sale, I'd say go for it, as it is still loads of fun and can throw you a bone every now and again. But the plane just isn't worth your hard-earned money most of the time when compared to the other options available, again, around this price point. But that all said, thanks so much for watching, everyone. Please like and subscribe if you like my content. Comment below if you have something to say about it. Tell me what your experience with the Sea Hawk is. If you like it, whatever the case may be, just let me know in the comments below. But again, that being said, thanks so much for watching, everyone, and I will see you all on the other side. Take care, everyone.